Welcome to Tuesday Tea. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tuesday Tea with Pastor Fatima here. I am so honored to have you join me again this week. I was sitting in one of my bedrooms and I was trying to meditate on what kind of tea did I want to bring on this week to the people. And as I was looking out of my window here, it's so beautiful outside, I began to think about the sunlight. I began to think about vitamin D. And I said, let's talk about vitamin D for a few minutes. Vitamin D is something that a lot of people walk around deficient in, and is a very, very important supplement to intake in our bodies. A lot of time we don't obtain the appropriate vitamin D that we need to obtain through food. But another source of vitamin D that a lot of people probably know about, and then some may not know about, is the sunlight. Yes, the sunlight provides us vitamin D. When the sun rays hit our skin, there's a chemical in our skin that synthesizes vitamin D in our bodies. But most of us, if you're like me, I try to avoid the sun as much as possible. Direct sunlight. We wear our shades. We wear our hats on the beaches. When we outside doing yard work, we're wearing our big hats to protect ourselves from the sunlight. And, we don't properly get all the vitamin D that we need from sunlight. And if there's any who wear sunscreen will prevent the absorption or the synthesis of that vitamin D as well. So if we're not completely getting it through the sunlight, if we're not getting it through our foods, and what foods can we get vitamin D through? You can get it through, it's not a whole lot of foods, but the ones that we can get it through, just a few: tuna, sardines, mackerels, I think herring fish, tuna, mushrooms, fortified milk, fortified cereal, cheeses, things on that level, oatmeals, things like that. You can get salmon. Most people love salmon, codfish. Those are excellent sources of vitamin D that you can get some from. But most of the time, we do not eat enough to get the amount of vitamin D we need in our bodies on a daily basis. So if we're not getting it accurately from foods and sunlight, then most of the time we have to take supplements to assist us in getting the vitamin D that we need. So why is it so important for us to have vitamin D? Well, vitamin D assists with bone health. It prevents osteoporosis, osteomalacia. That's a weakening of the bones, weakening of the muscles, breaking osteoporosis, the breaking down, deterioration of our bones. It helps with our teeth health, skin. And if it affects your muscles, guess what else is a muscle? Your heart is a muscle. So it can also weaken the heart muscle as well. I have known one person to have a heart attack, and that particular person was a doctor, and they said that it came from vitamin D deficiency. It can lower the risk of multiple sclerosis. It can lower the risk of poor cognitive health, our thought process, our memory. It can help with that. It also studies have been done to show that certain cancers can be decreased from having your proper intake of vitamin D. And I know of one is colon cancer. The oncologist recommends taking vitamin D every day for those who have dealt with that. So it's a lot of things that vitamin D, helps with that we are not aware of. It's an antioxidant. What does that mean? It helps to build your immune system. It's an anti-inflammatory, things that cause inflammation in the body. It helps against that as well. So, there are so many things that is attached to, cellular production, that it can help with, we have cells all over our body. So, of course, vitamin D helps pretty much in every area of our body. So why wouldn't we make sure that we are taking the correct supplements that we should be taking to make sure that everything is functioning and working properly. And I know my camera is all over the place, so forgive me, but I had to bring a little tea on vitamin D. And I know some of you are probably asking, how much vitamin D should I be intaking daily? Well, I'm not going to give you those figures because I want you to talk to your provider for you to see exactly how much vitamin D that's recommended for you. Because what they can do, they can draw vitamin D levels and see where your levels are, and then they will recommend exactly what you are in need of. So check with your provider to find out exactly how much vitamin D do I need to take to properly bring my body to where it needs to be and function as it needs to function. It's very important that our vitamin D is up in normal levels. Also, many of you may know and many of you may not know, but I think at this point most people do know that COVID vitamin D has been found to help against COVID. Again, one way I know it definitely helps against COVID because it does help as an antioxidant. It builds your immune system. But it has been found in research that somehow vitamin D does help your risk when it comes to COVID-19. So the things that we're dealing with, the things that we're having to contend with, let's not add to it by being deficient in vitamin D. Let's make sure we have our appropriate vitamin D levels. Make sure we're taking an appropriate amount of supplements. Get a little sunlight when you can. Try to eat the foods that have vitamin D in it as frequently as can. And if your levels are low, check with your provider. Let them run those tests on you to see what your levels are. And they will recommend the amount of IUs that you need to intake on a daily basis. Many of you might not know that Pastor Fatima is also a registered nurse. So I wanted to bring a little health tea today. I hope that this helps someone. I hope this has encouraged someone to go get those levels checked out and make sure that you're getting everything you need so that we can live a long, healthy life. This is Pastor Fatima. I'm signing out. This is your Tuesday tea. You be blessed. I love you, and it's nothing you can do about it. Bye-bye.